Good morning. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. I'm Tony Haggerty. It's Wednesday, the 18th of February, and delighted to be joined today by Ryan McGinley. Ryan, how are you, sir?
Things are good, yeah. Delighted to be back on the show today, especially with the news that broke around about half an hour ago. The tremendous achievement that Martin O'Neill's been inducted into the LMA Hall of Fame, the 1,000 Club. He's going to be joining the 1,000 Club, an elite,
Yes,
an illustrious
indeed.
list of managers. Carlo Ancelotti, Sir Alex Ferguson, who was waxing lyrical about Martin O'Neill in the statement, as well as Pep Guardiola, Sir Bobby Robson, so many, and his footballing mentor and idol, Brian Clough, as well, the person that steered him and Nottingham Forest to so much success in the 1980s. A great moment for Martin O'Neill, and a massive congratulations. Sorry to sort of steal your thunder. I know you would have probably wanted to wax lyrical
All right.
about Martin O'Neill, but I'll start. I just want to extend a massive congratulations. What an achievement.
Listen, hat tip to Martin O'Neill. I'll always say it, he is known as the Blessed Martin for a reason. Billy Connolly said he should be a sainted man. Listen, when his managerial tenure ends, I advocated it from the day he came back. You have to find a role upstairs for him in some capacity. He should not be allowed to leave Celtic. They should chain him to the stadium once this managerial tenure finishes, whenever that is. He might even get offered a longer contract in the summer. Who knows if he can guide Celtic to a Scottish League and Cup double. We shall see what happens. But yeah, you mentioned that illustrious band of names there. You know, Brian Clough, Sir Bobby Robson, Pep Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti, and Sir Alex Ferguson. And Sir Alex Ferguson spoke. This is what Sir Alex Ferguson said to Martin O'Neill as he joins the 1,000 club, and he'll take charge of his 1,000 game on Thursday night when Celtic host Stuttgart in the Europa League at Celtic Park. Ferguson said, "Many congratulations on joining the LMA Hall of Fame 1,000 Club, Martin, and on a career that combines hard work, success and longevity. I always enjoyed competing against you and your teams, who undoubtedly gave everything for you and embodied your personality and commitment. Your dedication from the beginning of your career in non-league, climbing the ranks to win silverware in the Premier League and the Scottish Premiership, and managing regularly in European club football, as well as on the international stage, is a legacy to be very proud of. I am not surprised to see that your enthusiasm for leadership and the management continues to shine through today as Celtic manager." Doesn't get any better than that from a great man to another great man, Ryan.
Yes, in my opinion, the greatest manager to have ever walked the earth in terms of footballing ability and prestige in the game. Sir Alex Ferguson. I know people have different. I am not
Oh,
having you calling that controversial. That is not controversial at all. In
I'm
fact, I
not
think
saying
you'll
it's
find that's the
controversial. I'm just saying Celtic supporters will say Jockstein off the bat.
absolutely, yeah. And do you know it's a great argument to have. Such a esteemed member of the managerial hierarchy in football. So for those words to come out of Sir Alex Ferguson's mouth on the current Celtic manager, who's had such a long career in the game, he deserves
Yeah,
all the credit in the world, and he deserves those comments that
yeah,
Alex Ferguson is giving him. I think they're just game knows game when it comes to Alex Ferguson and Martin O'Neill. They respect each other. I think they consider each other friends as well. They've caught up quite a number of times since Sir Alex Ferguson retired from the game. They speak, I would assume, pretty often. So yeah, delighted for Martin O'Neill. Deserves that credit, and yeah, hopefully he can seal his 1,000th game in management with a win on Thursday night against Stuttgart.
yeah. Indeed, I mean, Martin O'Neill, I mean, there's not a lot more that can be said about him, especially from myself personally. I've gone on record and saying just love him, just love what he's achieved at Celtic. And I love the fact that he has come back not once but twice this season, and it's his love and affection for this football club that has brought him back, and you can see that. And we've still to lose a football match since Martin O'Neill, a domestic football match, since Martin O'Neill come back. Ryan, it's incredible. And he knows he's maybe he's not working with the team that he once had from 2000 to 2005, and he understands that. But he can certainly, if there's ever a man who can get a tune out of players and get them to play for him and the football club, it's Martin O'Neill. So there you go. Lots of people differing, offering their Jockstein, Ryan, but I'll accept that in your generation, because Jockstein was just the latter part of my generation, but in your generation, Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager to ever manage to manage football teams. I can accept that. So from yourself, but Celtic supporters of you in an older ilk will say Jockstein only because Jockstein was the first British manager to win the European Cup, and I get that holds a lot of sway for a lot of people, and he achieved 9 in a row and all that kind of stuff. So there you go.
In my opinion, I would add Pep Guardiola to that list as well for the success that he brought Barcelona. Some of the greatest football. In fact, it was the greatest football I've ever watched in my life was Barcelona under Pep Guardiola. Then he brought that to Bayern Munich, and then he's brought continued success to Manchester City. There'll always be the excuse of, he gets given X amount of money every season. I think it takes a really good manager to manage good players, to manage egos and manage elite players together into one cohesive unit. So Martin O'Neill's up there with some of the greats. Jockstein is certainly up there with some of the greats alongside Alex Ferguson, Sir Bobby Robson, other names as well. So the fact that Martin O'Neill's even in that conversation alongside some of those greats in management is testament to the job that he's done as a boss in football.
Listen, it's another wonderful accolade and achievement for Martin O'Neill, it has to be said. And you look at that pantheon of managers that we're talking about. I mean, you learned from the feet of the master, as you say, Brian Clough, who took Nottingham Forest to the summit of European football twice, back-to-back, 1979 and 1980. And for me, that remains an incredible footballing achievement, and Martin O'Neill was part of that. But yourself and myself are unfortunate, Ryan. We never got to see the Lisbon Lions play. And for those who are older, like my father and people of that generation, they tell me that they were special. And I've mentioned before, maybe not as much in this podcast, but in other ones, that from 1967 to 1974, Celtic, for about 7-8 year period, were the best football team in Europe. Imagine that, Ryan. Imagine watching that. And they reached 2 finals. They reached 2 semi-finals, a quarter-final. And, they were playing the best of the best that European football had to offer and were holding their own. So for that, almost a couple of years short of a decade, Celtic were the best football team in Europe. And I think that's why lots of people hold Jockstein in the esteem that they do, because of that, because it was clearly a wonderful time watching Celtic. And then Martin O'Neill, when he comes along in 2003, puts Celtic back on that European map, that European pedestal, by taking them to a European final. Sadly, it was not to be, because we played a team who also had a manager whose career was on an upward trajectory. So there you go. But yeah, it's all very subjective, Ryan, but can't take away from the fact that Martin O'Neill being mentioned in the same breath as these kind of guys it's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah. I was trying my best not to mention Jose Mourinho today, to be honest with you, after his comments last night post Benfica Real Madrid. I think we all witnessed what occurred last night, and we strongly reject what happened on the football field last night. Thought some of the pundits after the game, in particular Clarence Seedorf, Wayne Rooney and Theo Walcott, all covered themselves in glory after it. They really did. They really did well to speak about the incident. But just on in terms of modern day managers, modern day Celtic managers, you can't have that conversation when it comes to Celtic without mentioning Martin O'Neill. He is the start point for a lot of people, and probably the majority of people now, given the way Rodgers' 2 spells ended. He is the best since Jock Stein. He is the best modern day Celtic manager. And the fact that he's 73 and he's still doing it for Celtic, as you quite rightly said, they've not lost a domestic game. They've only lost 1 game in the 2 stints thus far that Martin O'Neill's been in charge of. Shows that he's still got it. You can never lose it if you're someone like Martin O'Neill, and it's clear to see that he's never lost it. He's still got that aura, still got that buzz about him, and for however long it may continue, as when he's managing Celtic and at the helm of the club, then I hope that winning mentality and that success that follows him can remain.
Yeah, of course, and you just have to look at the team just now, and yeah, granted they might not be playing particularly well, but they are digging it out, Ryan, and they are playing for the club, but above all else, they are playing for that manager. He is dragging everything, every ounce and every sinew of energy out of them, and that winning mentality that he is spreading amongst those footballers, those players that are playing for the club. And it's infectious, and I just love the new kind of mellow Martin. He really doesn't give a stuff about anything, does he? Really, and he's kind of, and all that wisecracking. And I say that this, when he first came in, don't be fooled, because beneath all that, the exterior beats the beating heart of a ferocious competitor, and that's an outward performance when he's talking to the press and all that. Yep, love all that, but he knows inside we're winning football matches. Don't care how we do it, don't care how long it takes to do it. We go right to the bitter end, and that's what's happened in some of these football matches. And as I said on Monday, it seems to have upped a lot of people that Celtic continue to do that, Ryan.
Completely, and the fire still burns strong deep inside of Martin O'Neill to bring success to the football club, and that's why I agree with you. I don't know what position he would take after, completing his second stint as interim manager. I'm not sure what that forms as, or what form it takes. But I think that you can't let Martin O'Neill leave. His influence is just too strong, and his influence is too positive to let that go away. I would say the same for Sean Maloney as well. In the 2 tenures that he's been a part of Martin O'Neill, you can see the success that he's had and the integral role that he plays in geeing the players up. You hear under Wilfred Nancy, and I'm sorry to bring him up. We spoke about great Celtic managers, and unfortunately we need to talk about the other side as well at points. You didn't hear these positives coming out of the Celtic players' mouths in press conferences about the way in which Wilfred Nancy was playing, or if you did, it was few and far between. When it comes to Martin O'Neill and players are asked about his influence and Sean Maloney's influence on Celtic, they cannot stop talking. They absolutely love playing under this manager and this coaching staff, and you've got to add Mark Fotheringham, Gavin Strachan and Steve McManus into the mix as well, because they're playing a key role too. They're all so positive about what's going on at the moment. They all understand, even if they weren't aware of what Martin O'Neill meant to Celtic before. They worked under him. My goodness, they certainly know now. They know what he's all about. And from what it looks like from the outside, looking in, watching the games, going to the games, spectating the games, and writing about the games, it would seem as if these players would run through brick walls for Martin O'Neill and his coaching staff, which is what you want to see. I know it's the bare minimum. I know as Celtic players, you want to see them do that, but that isn't always the case, and it seems pretty obvious that they're all singing from the same hymn sheet, essentially.
Well, we're doing really well there, Ryan, until you mentioned the ghost of Celtic past there, a certain Frenchman. My goodness, you saw my reaction. In years gone by, whenever the name Wilfred Nancy's mentioned, Celtic supporters are going to shudder and, going to develop some kind of nervous tick when he mentioned his tenure at Celtic Park. But thankfully, we have Martin O'Neill, the blessed Martin, steering us in the right direction. And yeah, lots of people saying about the role that he has when he leaves the club. I remember saying right off the bat when he came back that he would be an ideal director of football. I also think he's the ideal man to sort out any kind of dispute between the club and the Celtic supporters at the minute. You know, he's a great middleman. I think he'd be able to unite everybody, and that for this run-in, because it's vital that Celtic utilise the supporters to the best of their ability, and that involves getting everybody back in and everybody uniting for the common cause that we're trying to win the Scottish Premiership title and Scottish Cup. And I think if there's a man who can lead us to doing that and help everybody get behind that, it's Martin O'Neill. So yeah, it's very positive, and massive congratulations to Martin O'Neill for that achievement. 1,000 games at club and international level is absolutely superb. Yeah, Henrik McLaughlin coming in and saying, as Tony's fond of reminding us, Jock didn't start a Celtic fan, but he became one. It's one of the things I say a lot. Jock Stein said that Celtic weren't his first love, but they would be his last love. And yeah, that's fine. I'm willing to accept anybody who comes into the club and this club gets under their skin. Exactly. But listen, you just hope that on Thursday night that Martin O'Neill and every other Celtic supporter is celebrating with a victory. But we'll get onto that. We'll preview the Stuttgart game in due course. Ryan, another person who's getting a mention, and rightly so, in the short stint that he's had and the impression that he's made, it's Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Scored a wonderful goal against Livingston, which turned out to be the winner. Touch of class. But for me, on Sunday, and I noticed that I looked around social media and Twitter, and opinion was divided on this, but I actually thought he was excellent on Sunday. But again, that's just me, and I'm watching these idiosyncrasies and behaviours of a class footballer. One of the passes we spoke about, a pass that he put through, which was excellent. And I also felt that when he came on, Callum McGregor raised his game because he had someone that he could rely on and raise the team levels. So that was for me. And then other people said he didn't do too much. So again, I always speak for myself in these situations, Ryan. I talk for myself as a Celtic supporter, and what I'm seeing, I give my opinion. People can feel free to disagree or agree with it, but you saw the same as well, didn't you? You actually thought he played very well too on Sunday, and he's the kind of player that I think Celtic need in this running.
Yeah, it was probably what he brought to the team rather than what he did individually, and he did have a couple of nice moments, a couple of nice passes here and there.
Yeah.
I just thought that he brought more control to the midfield, control that wasn't there when Rio Hatate was playing, unfortunately. And I'm sorry to bash him again, probably on the third straight podcast.
We won the football match, Ryan. We were 2 down when Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain came on. We won 3-2. So there you go.
Compare and contrast, Tony, with what happened in the first half and the players that were on the park when Celtic went down to 2-0. It went down 2-0, and then contrast that to the players that were on the park when Celtic won the game 3-2 at full time. Oxlade-Chamberlain played his part. I believe that all 3 of those subs played their part against Kilmarnock on Sunday. Certainly, Chavanchara played his part too. Marcelo Sirachi played his part. Oxlade-Chamberlain too. Sebastian Tinekti, who in my opinion should not be on the bench again. He would be one of the first names on the team sheet for me against Stuttgart tomorrow night. Unfortunately, in the case of Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's not registered. He didn't come in quick enough to be registered for the game. But that gives him an extra focus domestically on what he can bring to the team from between now and the end of the season. Yes, he'll be disappointed that he's not playing in the Europa League tomorrow night against Stuttgart, but he can focus on that Hibs game. For me, he starts against Hibs in the lead up to starting at Ibrox against Rangers the following week. He's one of the first names on the team sheet for that game. You need his control, you need his experience. He's played in big games against Manchester United, Man City, played for Arsenal too, played in Turkey with Besiktas, so he's no stranger. Played for England in the international team, over 30 caps for his country. So he's got that experience of playing at a high level. He understands going into atmospheres, ferocious atmospheres, of which Ibrox will be a ferocious atmosphere a week on Sunday. So you need players that have got that experience and who will stand up and fight for the cause. Oxlade-Chamberlain can do that, and between now and Ibrox, I want him to be ready for what's to come, and that includes a start against Hibs, and to play as many minutes as possible. If he can complete the 90 against Hibs and come through unscathed, then I think he'll be in perfect condition and prep for the game against Rangers at Ibrox. But that's got to be his main focus, in my opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt. I couldn't agree more. I think he has to start against the Berlin and take it from there, and if he can come through that unscathed, then for me he starts at Ibrox as well. But Liam Scales has been big in Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and it's just the quality he brings. Ryan, he is a class player. You mentioned various things he's done in teams he's played for. He scored for England against Scotland, didn't he, at Hampden and that?
Yes, he did.
Lee Griffiths scored the 2 free kicks. Yeah, I remember that because I was there.
Scored at Celtic Park too. It was actually at Celtic Park he scored. I think it was in 2014 in the lead up to the Commonwealth Games. I believe I might be wrong in that, but I seem to remember him scoring at Celtic Park for England. So he came full circle. His last England goal, or one of his England goals, was at Celtic Park, and then his first Celtic goal was at Celtic Park too.
Liam Scales was talking about him, and this is what he had to say. He said he's experienced and he's been in world-class dressing rooms and he knows how to handle himself. He's kind of slotted in really well, and then to see him on the pitch, he's got incredible technical ability, and you can see why he's played at the level that he's played. He's a really, really good player and a really intelligent player. I think the quality is always good, and there's never any bad players really around the club. Everyone here is a good player. And when you see someone come in who's played at a really high level for years, you can tell the little differences. They have that elite level, and I feel like he has that. I think he still has a lot to give based on what I've seen and how he holds himself. But he comes across as really ambitious. And wanting to come in and make a difference. That's good to see. He looks really sharp, and we're just looking forward to seeing how it goes for him. I've watched a lot of him. I've seen a lot of him when he was at Arsenal and Liverpool, and I always thought he was a brilliant player. You kind of think it would be good to see what he's like up close and get to know him and play with him. It's really exciting. There you go. There's Liam Scales talking about the Ox, and he has that touch of class, touch of quality, and touch that will raise Celtic's bar above the ordinary. Ryan, the difference maker, I think it could be. Said it and I wrote it myself in my column. I think that when he signed, I thought it was the kind of signing that could tip the title balance and scales in your favour. Yeah.
Pardon the pun. Tip the scales and scales about Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. You were also talking about a touch of class. His first touch is also class, which
yes, of course,
but just, I mean, that first touch, the first touch against Livingston makes the goal, in my opinion. It's a good pass from Sebastian Tenecti, but it's the way that he cushions the ball with his first touch, allows him to swivel and then shoot. That's a guy that this is muscle memory for him. He's used to doing this.
Yeah, do you know what made it for me, Ryan, was the fact that he was so spatially aware. And again, he was 3 moves ahead. He knew if he walked into that space and he got the ball, he knew exactly what he was going to do when he got it. As you say, so it was muscle memory. He just went touch, bang, goal. And it was like, it was no problem. There was no drama attached to it. He knew exactly what he was doing because, again, good footballers are spatially aware, which is the very thing that Hatate is not, right? Which is why he's having a hard time at this minute. You know, that's a masterclass in affecting the outcome of a football match and being a good player and a lot being placed on your shoulders and you just shrugging off and saying, this is what I do.
Yeah, and you never forget that, seemingly, as a football player. He's got that experience. It's that muscle memory, as I touched upon earlier. He's done it for Arsenal. He's done it for England. I actually had a wee look as you were speaking there on Oxlade-Chamberlain's goals. He scored his first goal in Scotland at Celtic Park. Then he scored another one at Hampden Park. So he's got plenty of experience. If his next goal's to come at Hampden, then it'll be in a semi-final. which would, I'm quite fine with him keeping up these traditions if that's the case. Although I would want him to hit the back of the net earlier if he can have his way. Maybe even a goal at Ibrox or at Celtic Park again against Hibs. I'm not too picky as long as he's scoring goals and making things happen for Celtic. It shows that it's been an ingenious bit of business from Celtic, identifying him, because I had my doubts about him when I saw that. It was a sort of mental eye roll when I saw that Celtic were linked with another player who's been out of work for a little bit. Former Premier League player. His last move hasn't really gone his way, but to his credit, from the first time he opened his mouth, even before that, when Martin O'Neill was talking about him, there was little sound bites that were coming from the Celtic manager, and I was like, he understands, he gets it, he already gets the gravity of the club and what he's potentially going to be jumping into. It helps that somebody like Joe Hart as well would have been recommending the club, our greatest non-scout person that's doing God's work for Celtic off the field of play, which is great to see. A great ambassador for the club, and we always said that would be the case, and it's certainly coming true. Then he had his first press conference and his first interview with Celtic TV. If you haven't watched it already, I know a lot of people have, but go and watch his Celtic TV interview and his first press conference as a Celtic player. You'll be so impressed by what he has to say, by the way he carries himself, the way he clearly looks after himself, the way that he's been patient for a move to occur, the way that he's been training with Arsenal ahead of his move to Celtic. I just think he's done everything perfectly so far. He came on and made an impact against Kilmarnock. Yes, individually he might have not done too much in the game. I think collectively he brought a whole lot to the midfield, a little bit of know-how that helped Callum McGregor sort of influence the game in the second half. And that's what I want going forward. It's a shame that he can't play against Stuttgart, but it's an opportunity for him to start against Hibs at the weekend and get himself ready for a massive game at Ibrox the following week. He's a player that I would want in and around the team, and I'm sure he will be. Fitness dependent, of course.
Yeah. I mean, when Martin O'Neill started speaking about him and waxing lyrical about him, I realised then he was going to sign, because Martin O'Neill's not one to open up and talk about stuff like that. And, so I was kind of like, right, here we go. He's obviously given him assurances that he was fit and ready to go and could make a difference. So, yep, loved that. Now, Ryan, you've touched upon it. The manager will speak today and in a player preview the Stuttgart game. Celtic playing Stuttgart in a playoff round in the Europa League. What's your thoughts on that? Tell you my thoughts. I want to win. I want to advance. I want Celtic to be a force in all three competitions that they're left in, and the chips fall where they may in terms of a help or a hindrance towards your title push and your Scottish Cup push. But I think the more competitive games you play at this level, it stands you in good stead for what's coming. And that pressure, volatile situations can help players, can bring the best out of players. But Stuttgart riding high in the Bundesliga, tough one.
Certainly is, and Josh and I were speaking about Stuttgart yesterday. They're currently fourth in the German Bundesliga. They've got a couple of names that, as we spoke about yesterday, that people might be familiar with. Dennis Undav, that used to play for Brighton, who's completely transformed his career at Stuttgart. He's plays a little bit as a striker, attacking midfielder, but he gets a lot of goals for his team, even after the likes of Nick Voldemade left the club for that big money move to Newcastle to replace Alexander Isak, who left for Liverpool. They're a good team. They clearly make profits on a lot of their players, and they're replacing them with good players who can come into the team and make an impact. Good, solid European outfit. Sebastian Hoeneß was talking a couple of days ago about previously managing Bayern Munich's under-19s at Capello against Celtic, a 2-1 win, and then he got to sample the atmosphere between Celtic, the senior Celtic team, and the senior Bayern Munich team. That was the game in which Celtic ran Bayern Munich so close. Seems to be a little bit of a theme occurring with Celtic and Bayern Munich. Callum McGregor scored that wonderful equaliser, but Bayern Munich, as they seem to do a lot against Celtic, scoring a late winner that separated the two sides. in that group stage game. It'll be another good atmosphere. The Germans always bring a big crowd with them. I'm sure they'll be enjoying Glasgow as a city during the day, and they'll make a lot of noise heading to the game. And I welcome that, because it should bring a good atmosphere. My only issue and worry and concern is I don't want Celtic to be drowned out by the Germans that are going to this game tomorrow night. In an ideal world, I would want the Green Brigade back for this one, and making all the noise in the world, and the other fans that make that noise known. So it's up to those who are going to the game, the other spectators, to make that noise in their absence. It can't be a ballet, it can't be a theatre. It needs to be a cauldron of noise tomorrow night.
Sure. I think we all would welcome the Green Brigade back for the noise and the spectacle that they bring. Just hope that common sense can prevail in the coming days or weeks in order to get them back in and help everybody. But yeah, I think the Celtic supporters know what's at stake, and I think they will bring the noise tomorrow night, and they will turn up in their numbers and shout the team, hopefully to victory in Martin O'Neill's 1000 game. Oh, there's Peter King coming in. Get real, Tony. Celtic be lucky to get a draw tomorrow. Main thing is the league. Well, there you go. I know that. I've always said I prioritise the league, but I want Celtic to be a force in every competition that they are in. It's just my thoughts, Peter. You're allowed to disagree with them. You clearly do. So that's fine. But I'll respect you if you respect me saying things like get real. Come on. It's just my thoughts and my opinion. And we're both on the platform. We want Celtic to win football matches. So, yeah, that's just the way I feel about it. I still think that, of course, the league's the most important, but I still want to go as far as I can in European competition. Ryan?
The most important game for Celtic is the next game, and that's against Stuttgart. I think we've become a lot of supporters and people covering Celtic have become almost accustomed to treating Europe as a sideshow when it shouldn't be. Celtic should
Not for me.
Celtic's greatest moment in their history occurred in the Champions League in 1967, and every time that Celtic take part in European competition, that's the standard that they're up against. I know that the game has changed. I know that modern football, Celtic's place in modern football has changed as a result of all the money, but you know, they're representing Scotland as well. They're the only team left in Europe from Scotland. A lot of eyes will be on Celtic tomorrow night, and I want Celtic to make a good account of themselves ahead of what's going to be a difficult second leg in Stuttgart in Germany. For me, yes, the league is the bread and butter. I completely agree with that, especially this season with the way that the league table is transpiring, especially at the top of it. But I want Celtic to make a good account of themselves in Europe, and if possible, get that knockout tie win that I've been waiting 20 years for.
Somebody explain to me why we can't have both. Why we can't win the title and go as far as we can in this in the Europa League. I'm bamboozled by that. And bet Martin O'Neill wants to go as far as he can in the Europa League.
Certainly wants to go to the next round, that's for sure, because
you know what I mean? So
Braga or Porto.
So again, Martin O'Neill's managerial tenure at Celtic is best remembered for his European exploits, both in the Champions League and in the UEFA Cup. So yeah, listen, that's, again, I speak for myself. I always do on these things. So it's and again, you're allowed to disagree and agree or not, but sometimes the way we disagree, I disagree with that. That's all. You're allowed to be polite. Yeah.
If there's two teams that Martin O'Neill would want to face once again for a do-over in any European competition, the potential to face one of them in the next round is there in Porto. They could face off against Porto in the next round. The other one being Juventus, probably, after his comments post-match after the kerfuffle of that game and the referee's performance in that game. So that's one of the two that would be on his metaphorical European hit list. If he can get past Stuttgart, a team that he's faced off before in his managerial tenure at Celtic, then what an occasion that would
And
be.
won.
The storylines write themselves when it comes to Porto
They do.
Celtic. So even the chance of that happening, that excites me as a Celtic fan, and as a European football fan too. Storylines make football, and for me, not to get too ahead of ourselves, still get the game to come against Stuttgart, but that's what's on offer, Tony.
Yeah, and there's prestige and honour in going far in European competitions. So that's just the way I feel about it. Are the team good enough to go all the way? I mean, you're looking at me, you're thinking, probably not. But that doesn't stop you from wanting to achieve that. So I just it blows my mind. And whilst we're achieving getting as far as we can in European competition, still want to win a title. I don't want to take my eye off the ball in terms of we want to win football matches. Doesn't matter the competition, doesn't matter the opposition. You just want to win, and we've got a manager. I'm glad to see who feels the same and can get this ragtag and bobtail squad of players to function. So I'm confident in that, and I'm confident in him. So I'm interested to see what he says today about the Stuttgart game.
See, if you were to pick one or the other, Tony, I'm gonna pose the question to you. Would you rather Celtic go on an extended run in the league? I know you can say both, right? But if you could only pick one, an extended run in the league, or an extended run in the Europa League, or a League One, what would you pick?
No, I would only swap winning the title for winning the Europa League. I don't want an extended run. I'd only swap winning it because that's just the way I am, right? And lots of people spoke about the journey to Seville and all that, Ryan. I've said before, and I'll say it again, European finals is no stage for losers. It's just no stage for losers. It gave me the worst possible moment in my Celtic supporting life. And I'd never, ever, ever want to experience that again, going to a European final and losing. So the only trade-off I would give for the title this year is Celtic winning the Europa League because of the prestige and honour and glory involved in that, and winning one of 3 European trophies that are available. I think that would be a wonderful achievement. And if you were to give me that now, then I'd probably take that at the expense of the title. But don't give me a last 32 or a last 16 and then end of story. Nah, shut the doors on that. I want to win a title if that's what you're offering me. But unless you can offer me Celtic winning the Europa League, I'd gladly sacrifice the title for that. But you can't, because nobody's got the crystal ball as ever, So, but that's just the way, because that's the way I feel as a Celtic supporter. It's all about winning and prestige and honour and glory. It's not about journeys for me. It's just lots of people differ about that because they loved everything about the road to Seville and various things and various and I get all that, but the end game, it's all about the end game for me. And I was crestfallen when Celtic lost to Porto that night in Seville. I thought Henrik Larsson was anointed. I thought he was going to get a hat-trick. Losing wasn't in the equation. I always felt that Big Sherbet Dad, Rab Douglas would have saved a couple of penalties as well, had it gone to penalties. Don't blame Bobo Balde either for being sent off. We played a team who ended up winning the Champions League the following season. They were going places under a manager who was going places. So we had the miss for. Had we played anybody else in that final, I think that Celtic team would have won.
Yeah. The correct answer is both, by the way. I want both. I would want Celtic to win the league and go far in Europe. The most important game is the next game for me, in my opinion. And I think all focus has to be on Stuttgart. Yes, the title race is heating up. Yes, Rangers beat Hearts at Ibrox Rangers beat Hibs at... they beat Hearts at Ibrox on Sunday. Celtic are playing Hibs on Sunday. There's all my words getting mixed up. You can tell how much I've been speaking about this week. But that's the excitement. The excitement is in the title race as well between the 3 teams that are eager to win it. I'm just hoping that Celtic come out on top, as they seem to be doing regularly, and hopefully that experience can come through. But I want them to become a European outfit. there's players in this team that are having their first experience of Celtic in Europe. They will have their first experience of Celtic in Europe when they play tomorrow night. Chivanchara, Junior Adamu, Julian Araujo as well. I want their first taste of Europe to be sweet.
Indeed. And on that sweet note, we shall end. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for your comments. We try and flick up as many as we can, but we end up just getting lost in the chat. Hope you enjoy the chat as well. Ryan, thank you. Another stellar contribution, sir. As always look forward to it. Guys, if you're going along to the Stuttgart game tomorrow night, enjoy it. Cheer the manager. It's his 1,000th game at club and international level, and he's entering the League Managers Association Hall of Fame. The applause and the awards keep coming, and it should for the blessed Martin, Ryan.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully it's not his last award before the end of the season. That's my hope.
Take care, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Guys, before we finish off, sorry guys. If you like the chat that's gone on today and you want to get involved just that little bit more, you can hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It's completely free, and you'll be notified when we go live with pre-match videos, post-match videos, expert videos, as well as the morning briefings, which take place Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. You can also get involved in the website if you go to www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. On there, there'll be the press conference Q&As, there'll also be the latest news, views, opinion pieces, expert analysis on past games and upcoming games too. All you need to do is go to www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe and get involved, guys. And we appreciate each and every one of you for watching these videos, both live and after, when going to view them as actual videos on YouTube. And thank you to each and every one of our subscribers, both on here and on the website. So cheers, guys.
What the man said. Take care, guys. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. See you later.